Yes, I'm here, Inga.
All right, good. Okay. So greetings, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you all for coming to the webinar tonight with us with the Academy of Healing Nutrition. My name is Inga Bylinkina, and I'm a co-director at the Academy of Healing Nutrition. I also serve as a student mentor and faculty. I'm also a holistic nutrition coach and herbalist. And tonight we are going to have a very interesting topic presented by our director and founder of the school, Roger Green. And the topic of this webinar is 8 Steps to Becoming a Self-Healing Master. And this is a very interesting subject to us. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I'm having some connection problems. All right. Okay, so
Yeah,
let's just get
up a
going,
little bit
Roger.
then.
Yeah. So let's hope that it will improve as we go. And I'm going to start the slide. Roger?
Yes, I'm here, Inga. You are, unfortunately, you're breaking up a little bit, but I can hear you.
Okay.
We've got our first slide up here, the 8 steps to becoming a self-healing master.
Okay, so I invite you to start the webinar, and I will help you with moving the slides along.
So you're going to take care of the slides. Okay. Well, folks, I think Inga might have, because she was breaking up a little bit there, she introduced herself. And so I'm Roger Green, the director of the Academy of Healing Nutrition. It's a curriculum that's now about 30 years old. And we started this in Sydney, Australia. In the last 10 years, we brought it to New York. We've got a very interesting webinar for you this evening. We've got these 8 very, very important steps to, the whole theme of being able to be your own doctor, what's involved with you taking total control over your health and destiny. So let's get started with the first one here. So I've got up here the right mental attitude. So, we're essentially, with our...
Just keep going.
Essentially with, the culture that we're from, we all... I'm going to keep going, yeah? With the culture that we're in our modern age, we have quite a dependency on Western medicine. We all kind of grew up with antibiotics and, and of course our parents' generation was very much... Inga, there's a lot of feedback happening here. Hello, Inga, can you hear me?
Yeah.
And you've just jumped to the next slide.
I'm trying to mute the incoming person. Okay, go ahead.
So, right mental attitude, we all grew up with antibiotics and doctors and hospitals. And in our modern culture, especially in the West, we don't have much of a, kind of like a folklore medicine presence. Unlike in Asian cultures, they've still kind of got that, the ability to be able to use food and herbs to a degree. So I personally think it's very, very important to develop the self-reflection ability, to be able to reflect on, that you are totally responsible for your own health, and to be able to act on that. Now, not everybody, in my experience of this, not everybody is capable of doing that. Developing this attitude that you can take total responsibility for your life, and not to be, blaming your job and society and the bugs, viruses. I mean, I personally think we're able to rise above that and to really, really understand, the human constitution and our place in the environment and even our place in the cosmos. So it's a real desire, deep desire to have freedom and the ability to be able to take control of your own destiny. And we are able to do that. There are practical steps for you to be able to achieve this sort of attitude, this mental attitude that, yes, I can take total control of my life. I can do this through various approaches, diet, exercise, and spiritual pursuits. So that's the first step. I'd like to pass it over to Inga to comment on this.
Well, the right attitude is quite important, and we all start...
Inga, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Can you? Roger?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
I suggest that you just continue because I have a tendency to get interrupted. So just keep going.
Okay. Your sound is not working very well, huh?
No. Yeah. So just keep going.
Okay. Well, let's go on to the next slide then. Got here, so this is about, the true definition for health, your ability to be able to, totally kind of blend in and make the changes that you need to adapt to your environment and all the, the different influences around our life. So I always feel that, when you start this approach to taking responsibility for your health, you're going to start with some positive experiences. That's usually what everybody experiences, get that, and that gets them onto this pathway. Now, those positive experiences, come and go a little bit to begin with, but they start to replace the negative habits and the negative food habits that you might have, the negative lifestyle habits that you might have, the bad habits that we all develop, and bit by bit, natural healing is a very nurturing cycle. It just doesn't happen quickly. And bit by bit, you start to get into the flow of things, and you find that you can start to make these changes very smoothly in your life. And it doesn't demand a lot of discipline. It's not like I have to start this whole new makeover and I can't do all these things that I used to do, because we are creatures of habit. That's very deep seated in the human being. So the idea here is to start to slowly make some positive changes, feel those changes in your body, in your mind, and the way you express yourself. And bit by bit, they start to take over your life. And then you notice this ability to start to adapt to things like the changing seasons. So a lot of the symptoms that you might have had in the past, like in wintertime and spring and summer with allergies and aches and pains, and you start to notice that they dissipate. And, this whole thing of that we have in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic is called constitutional medicine. And you start to understand your own very unique constitution and the kind of the dynamics that you're made up of, and how to start to choose various influences in your life, including, of course, food patterns that start to nudge deeply your constitution. When you do that, you start to really embed yourself into the environment. You get your body sort of embedded into where you are as a human being. You become a lot more centered and a lot more aware of the things around you. So it's a very important aspect of a healthy person, this ability to be able to adapt to all the various influences, the seasonal changes, and to view ourselves as part of a continuum with nature. We're not separate from nature. So our next slide here is food is blood. So there's a very simple mechanism in healing, and that is the food that you eat ultimately is going to become the quality of your blood. So we begin our journey by starting to select food that's more appropriate perhaps to our constitution, to our personal health problems, and food that's more kind of embedded in our local environment, so to speak. And essentially, through this process, we're transforming the outer environment, food, weather patterns, the sun's energy, the constellations, and so forth. Through food, we're able, obviously, to create our internal environment. And the bridge between the outer and the inner is actually this process of taking in food. Now, when you, of course, taking in food, you've got to be able to digest it and assimilate it well. And ultimately, that's what's creating our raw components of energy, and that is your red blood cells. Your red blood cells go into then creating your muscles, your tissues, your immune system. Ultimately, you're nourishing your organs and your nervous system. And of course, your nervous system is the way you're starting to think and feel about your environment. So when people start to make changes in their food, they notice the changes in their body, sometimes on a subtle level and sometimes on a very mundane level. Right? So what we call the longevity diet is very geared up for brain chemistry, very geared up for balancing the acid and alkaline quality of your blood. So it's a very, very important concept to master that, food is your blood. Now, in the West, of course, we talk about the chemistry of the blood. And then in the Eastern traditions, they talk about the chi of the blood. So it's not just, vitamin C and proteins and carbohydrates and, your blood sugar levels and all of that. It's also the type of vibration that you're digesting from your environment, because ultimately that becomes your own expression of that energy. So people notice when they start to play with certain food groups, they start to notice how it affects them emotionally. They start to notice how it affects their relationships. They start to notice different sort of thinking aspects, like they might start to experience a lot more mental clarity and the mental fog goes away, etc. So very, very important aspect to, you are what you eat, and ultimately what you're eating through digestion and assimilation is ultimately going to become who you are. So let's go on to the next slide. So we've got here the mind-body connection. This is a very, very important concept to master. We've had a long history now of, some of the Eastern traditions for yoga and the martial arts, where people become aware of the whole thing of your center, your body center. This is often referred to as the Tan Dien in the Chinese culture, often referred to the Hara in Japanese martial arts. But it's like your center of gravity. It's where the mind-body connection becomes one. So what happens here, people start to notice when they start to do work on a mundane physical level, stretches, some chi exercises, some yoga, and it can also be all various types of exercise, running and swimming and being out in nature, that they start to experience more positive emotions and more positive, psychological experiences. So we often in the West try to deal with our emotional imbalances on an emotional level, which of course is appropriate, and some of our psychological imbalances or issues that we're trying to work with, with things from the past and stress and childhood trauma and conditioning patterns and so forth. And it's very appropriate to also work on those levels. But what we find is when people start to connect with the physical component of that, the organic kind of component in the body, and start to work with on both levels, the mind and the body, that a very, very powerful kind of quantum leap happens. That we start to get out of these emotional cycles and psychological traps that we all get our tendency to get ourselves into. When you work on that body level, it really starts to help to get the chi flowing again, the blood flowing, the lymph flowing, and people start to have a greater sort of acceleration in their healing abilities. So very, very important. We can only encourage people to get involved with some kind of exercise discipline. Now, in Chinese medicine, we have the 5-element framework. This means that there's a connection between the wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. This is a breakdown of the yin and yang dynamics, and it's the way we correlate the seasons with the organs, various signs and symptoms of the body with the various organs of the body, the kidneys, the liver, etc. It's the way we start to build up a framework of what type of tastes and flavors and cooking styles enhance that organ. So the organ is not a piece of meat in Chinese medicine. It's a dynamic energy field where it has certain physical components, of course, and biochemical components. It also echoes into our emotional life and our psychological attributes. To give you a very, very simple example of that, the kidney energy in Chinese medicine is part of the water element. And the water element is connected with the wintertime, with nighttime. So if there's problems sleeping, it's a kidney problem. It's connected with the bones of the body, the spine, your sense of hearing. Emotionally, it's connected with the emotion of the willpower, the ability to drive yourself and adapt and flow into life's presence. So we also have another important framework that we work from. It's a beautiful framework called the 3 treasures, the Jing, Qi and blood, and Shun. So the Jing is your primordial life force. It's your constitutional energy. It's what connects you with your ancestors, and it connects you with your constitution, your bones, your bone marrow. It's your blueprint of the everything that you've got to work with, the constitutional strengths and weaknesses. The middle jiao is referred to as the qi and blood. This is your ability to make the usable energy that you need every day through eating and being able to digest that well, and to circulate that new blood and qi throughout the body to nourish yourself very deeply. And the shun is the spirit, your mental attributes, your spiritual goals, and your ability to be able to strategize, make decisions, and to find your deeper true purpose in life. We have various herbs that act on these levels, various foods that act on these levels. It's a very, very interesting framework. And it's not a loose system, this whole idea of the mind-body connection. It's very, very well defined in the Eastern medicine arts. Let's move on to the next slide, Inga. So here we have supportive lifestyle strategies. Obviously, embarking on your self-healing journey, being aware of, obviously the negative influences in your life, and becoming, a person who can start to actually make these positive changes. Obviously, starting with your own living space is quite important. getting rid of some of the old energy of the past and just decluttering things and making order in your life, creating some rituals in your life, where you can begin the day nice and fresh and positive. Sometimes it can be as simple as just simply making your bed every morning. That starts to set up a ripple of an energetic pattern for the rest of the day, that there's a sense of order and clarity in your immediate environment, your bedroom, your kitchen, your living room. And of course, we can only but encourage some fresh air and some healthy plants. And those general principles of feng shui are actually very, very workable in everybody's life. Get rid of the clutter and the stagnation around you, and find that your energy flow is a lot better. Of course, a balance between your active life and sleeping. Sleeping is just as important as daytime energies. So, working on the yin side is just as important as working on the yang side. So the yin is associated with sleep and relaxation and nighttime. The day, of course, is associated with your work and society and so forth. So sleep is very, very important. We have some wonderful yin building herbs and yin building foods. Some foods you start to recognize could be too strong on your energy frame. For instance, drinking too much coffee and too many stimulants and so forth can really help start to disturb your sleep. So the principle here is balance and moderation. Now, these are not boring words for us. I mean, everybody sort of uses these words, balance and moderation. For us, it's a lifetime mastery of balance and moderation. It's something that you study every day. We all find our own middle way with this, with our constitutional tendencies. Some people can kind of, encompass a lot more extremes in their life. They can sort of handle it to an extent. Others have to be a little bit more cautious with these things. The idea is, to a degree, to find the extremes and sort of understand them so that you know your own constitutional limits, and then to find the middle way with this. So moderation in all things, of course, is a very, very important aspect here. We like to think, that this is a joie de vivre. We really can enjoy all the wonderful fruits and pleasures of living and life. This is not like a restrictive pathway. It's really a pathway of enjoyment of all things and the central pleasures, etc. But there does need to be, a sense of moderation. It's very easy to overconsume alcohol and sugar and all sorts of things, and it can really start to really play havoc with your life. So everybody needs to find their own balance, their own moderation, and their own middle way with this. And of course, the lifestyle of what is this all about at the end of the day? Why do we want to be healthy? Why do we want to have vitality and clarity? Well, it's because we want to pursue the things that give us joy and pleasure, especially like the hobbies, the things that we really enjoy doing. And that could be, anything from photography, art, music, getting involved with various studies of things. And, it's not just, the hobbies, it's the things that really, really light you up. Generally what we call peak experiences, the things that really kind of get your bliss activation going. In the Eastern culture, this is referred to as the Kundalini spirit. I think, with the mastery of self-healing, it becomes very important to start to sense this kind of dynamic energy that we receive from the universe. And once you start to unblock some of the channels and the energy starts to move a little bit more freely, you'll notice that you have a lot more energy, and you notice that you get a lot more passionate and kind of excited and your eyes start to glitter a lot more, right, about getting into life, showing up for life. So very, very important. And of course, these days, connecting with Earth is becoming a lot more important. Most of us live in very, very busy cities, and we kind of get consumed by that. And, we're getting further and further away and separated from nature. So one of the strategies here is to reconnect with, nature, the forest, the beach, even just getting into the park. Taking your shoes off and reconnecting, with your bare feet back onto the earth. And, kind of unplugging yourself is very, very important. Getting away from the cell phone and the computers and all the electromagnetic energy. So if you live, for instance, the academy is our in-house classes are located here in New York. And of course, we've got some wonderful parks here. But, it's very, very important as part of your self-healing journey is to, create the strategy where you get close to nature as often as possible, to really start to declutter yourself on all sorts of levels. Right? The best healing happens around nature. So it's very, very important to remember that. So, Inga, let's move on to the next slide. Find your soul group. This is a very important part of mastery of self-healing. This is something that you don't do it by yourself. Of course, you start with yourself and, the sort of the practical steps involved, but I strongly recommend that you get on a journey with others, be it your loved one or family member, or find yourself, into a new group of friends, where humans are social creatures. So it's very important to sort of connect with a group of friends or an organization that you can share your common dreams, common goals, and common values with each other. In Chinese medicine, this is called the Ren Qi, the heart Qi, the energy where we nourish each other, we support each other, we encourage each other. So often our immediate family can be detrimental in our healing journey. Often when we start to make these changes and we're starting to explore new foods and we're starting to bring home some seaweed, sometimes, in your immediate family, it can be, not supportive at all. Of course, this varies from person to person. So either way, you need to be around the people who are very positive and share your common values and dreams and goals with, your natural healing here. So find the right teachers. Find the teachers who have, been through this pathway. They've they've found out what's worked and what hasn't. Find the teachers that are able to express these ideas in a practical, tangible way. Find the teachers that have, done a lot of experience in the world, that they've been out there, in terms of their clinical background as well. So it's very, very important to find the right teachers, coaches, and guides. So find your spirit, your spirit group, your soul group. Education. We can never stop learning. We really are students of life. In Taoist education, there's a theme of, we're a little kind of like childlike with this. We always like to keep open and a little bit innocent. We live in a phenomenal universe, so we have to be humbled around us, and also it's kind of like an attitude that we can never sort of know all the information, but through the process of assimilating various information and putting it into life, we can start to grow our wisdom. It's something that becomes your own uniqueness in the world. Now, education here, it's on your journey. It's very important, in my opinion, to read some of the classics in Chinese medicine. even the Yellow Emperor's book of internal medicine is a good one. And of course, Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching is a favorite of mine when I was a teenager. So perhaps, find some of the classics, with you. And of course, in our modern day and age, we've got some wonderful new, material coming out with, brain chemistry and telomeres, which are the tentacles of your DNA. And there's ways of, increasing longevity. And I always say we're living now in a renaissance of nutrition and healing. We've got accessibility now to all the superfoods from around the world, and the tonic herbs that we've been using thousands of years in Chinese medicine are a lot more available now. So it's, wonderful information around the ideas to how, in one sense, sometimes there's too much information. You're going to sort of distill it all a little. An important ingredient for me is this non-credo, that, don't get attached to any particular thing with this. Keep yourself open. In one sense, you don't need to believe anything. The idea is to question things, to find out for yourself, see what works for yourself, what doesn't. One person's medicine could be another person's poison. So we're all unique. We have to find our own way. And I think getting a nice balance between the ancient teachings and modern research. I think it's kind of like a yin and yang theme, an Eastern and a Western theme. I think that's a good balance in your mastery here, to dabble in both. I think is a good idea. Now, Inga, let's go on to our last slide here. So we've discussed some of the psychological and sort of motivational factors to start you on your healing journey. And this has to be followed up with some, day-to-day practical things, even like beginning with what I call an intelligent shopping list. So instead of buying the chemicalized foods and the industrialized foods that has created absolute havoc in our Western cultures, we start to realign ourselves to some very healing, whole foods with just the way we're going to spend our hard-earned money. And this is a very ecological way and an economic way of eating. You actually, in the long run, save a lot of money. And of course, you save a lot of money from just, there's no medical expenses ultimately and pharmaceutical expenses ultimately. And of course, developing your energy, more productive and more creative. And, there's financial rewards to go with that. So that all of that can just start with a practical reorientation with how you're going to spend your hard-earned money with your shopping list. And of course, in this day and age, the emphasis is on sustainability and, what we can grow at, instead of being a consumer, let's be a producer. And that was the famous words of Bill Mollison, the great permaculture teacher. Let's see what we can start to produce, even in our apartments in New York and city living all over the world. There's ways now of, at least starting to grow some herbs and sprouts. So to be part of, being producing, nourishing for each other rather than just the consumer mentality. And it's very, very important to develop your cooking skills. If we're going to take responsibility for our own health, it actually starts in the kitchen. And just learning some real basic skills around, the balancing of foods, the seasoning of foods, getting the right flavor in there. That's very, very important. If the food doesn't taste good, you're not going to do it. So that's one of the things you need to master. And it's a lifetime study around food. Now, you don't have to spend long in the kitchen. Another important thing to master here is the easy recipes, the quick dishes. You come home from work, you can put something together in 20 minutes, like noodle dishes and one-pot dishes and so forth, including cooking for the whole family. It's very easy to do. you cook some, 3 or 4 different dishes, and then you can choose, how much they're going to have of this and that and the other. In my opinion, you don't have to sort of, do special dishes for people. This is family style, community style, kind of like tribal style. People used to eat, very, very similar foods. The proportions might vary, and certain dishes might vary from person to person. But ultimately, it's a very easy thing to learn. It's a fun thing to learn. You don't have to spend hours and hours and hours in the kitchen. And it's just very satisfying, something to, learn some new recipes and experiencing some of the new flavors and then the effects that they actually have on you. So that's what Inga and myself have compiled into, we've called the 8 most important steps for you to consider about being your own doctor, taking control of your own health and destiny. So I hope you give some reflections to those ideas. Of course, here at the Academy, we've been showing people the principles of longevity for 30 years. It's a very, very well long established curriculum. We do choose from all of the food groups. I always say, if you're a vegan, we'll show you how to do it better. If you're a vegetarian, we'll show you how to do it better. And if you're a meat eater, we'll show you how to do it better. But the common themes here for everybody in our faculty and our student group is nutrient-dense whole foods. For obvious reasons, the modern foods, the refined foods, it's kind of like the empty calories. And of course, the effects that it has on your blood sugars, which is very, very detrimental to your health, and insulin resistance. It's been calculated that 80% of Americans have some kind of, pre-diabetic disposition. So it's a very, very, you only have to look at modern health statistics to see, what we're up against here. Just starting with nutrient-dense, it's a good place to start. Whole foods, unrefined foods. And as much as possible, hopefully they're local and seasonal. Now, of course, you don't have to restrict yourself totally to that. That's been a very sort of dogmatic, but as much as possible, to be able to tap into grown locally. So, of course, getting to local farmers markets and so forth is very, very important. Buying organic, because of the not only because there's no chemicals in it, but they're usually a lot more minerally rich and tastier. And, from time to time, if you can find wild harvested foods, remember our ancestors ate more wild foods than we do today. And if you can get your hands on them, they're precious. They're very healing foods. High quality fats, very, very important. The longevity diet has never been a low fat diet. It's been master. It's something that we here at the Academy, we've never gone down that route, and thank God everybody's now catching up with us. So a range of high quality fats is very important. Don't have the time to get into the detail of all that subject. Very, very important subject. But, a complete range of fats are very, very important. Traditional preparation of fermented foods, and having a range of fermented foods, and studying the way certain cultures have done their fermented foods, I think is very, very important in your journey. Students, ask your grandmother and grandfather how did they, produce some of their foods. Their pickling styles and storing of foods, very, very important. You find a lot of very, very important dynamics and, for healing enzymes through fermented traditional preparations. Seaweeds, well, wonderful. A whole You know, for instance, minerally rich, strong in iodine, which is completely lacking in the modern diet, hence all the thyroid problems. Seaweeds naturally detoxify the body. So very, very powerful group of foods. I highly recommend that you start taking seaweeds and learning how to use them in stocks and side dishes and salads and soups. Integrate them at least 2 to 3 times a week. It's very, very important. And the tonic herbs are very famous in the Taoist tradition. For instance, we have about 10 to 15 very, very important longevity herbs. They're referred to as tonic herbs because they strengthen your overall stamina and chi and blood and energy levels. You'll start to get to know how to use them in soups and broths and various elixirs that we bind with some foods. So it's a very, very important aspect of your healing journey is to understand the effects of herbs. They're a lot more powerful than foods. They're a lot more intelligent. It's very, very strong medicine. So you have to kind of study it. You have to know the yin and yang, the warming, the cooling, what they're sort of appropriate for. But overall, these are the herbs that you use when you're healthy and you want to maintain your longevity. So they're very, very important to get into. Earlier on, I discussed the 3 treasures, the Jing, the Shen, and the Qi of the body. And you discover amongst the Taoist tonic herbs these very, very important Jing herbs that increase and tonify your longevity. Fasting and cleansing, detoxifying protocols, very important to know. And just like simple ideas like the 24-hour fast, where you skip an evening meal, the breakfast and lunch the next day, helps to recalibrate the body, helps to, accelerate your healing. It's something that's very easy to do from time to time. I would suggest that you do this, once or twice or 3 times a month, where you just skip those 3 meals. It gives the ability for all of the body systems to tune up again. There's various other fasting styles that we talk about in our curriculum, depending on your condition and what health problems are existing in the person. So you have to sort of tailor-make this. But very, very important in the modern age where there's a lot of overconsumption that happens from time to time. And you notice with the longevity diet that your blood sugar levels after 2 or 3 months of style of eating, you'll notice that your blood sugar levels get a lot more stronger. Your satisfaction around foods is a lot more stronger. So you notice that you don't overeat. Sometimes you're quite happy with just 2 meals a day. This of course is going to vary from person to person, but overall you notice that your blood sugar levels become a lot more stronger. We've got here home remedies and kitchen pharmacy. It's a very important weekend that we teach as part of the longevity diet. It's a fun weekend where you learn compresses, things that you can do from your kitchen in terms of medicinal drinks, things that you can do for colds and flus and aches and pains. And there's various, at the academy we show some various exercises and some simple massage styles. So it's a fun weekend. And of course we need to know the supplements that have, in my opinion, that have been clinically proven, and the supplements that are various conditions like blood sugar problems, blood chemistry. So there's some good research that's come out in the last 10 years. So here at the Academy, the bottom line for us is the foundation is understanding the diet and food as medicine. The second level is understanding the tonic herbs and the superfoods and how to combine them and their energetics. And we're pretty famous for that. Spearhead that for a long, long time. And then the third level, like the top of the pyramid, if you like, is the supplements. So for me, it's very easy to read about the supplements. We don't spend too long. We have an afternoon session, part of the academy training. We have some good documents that you can read up about. And we're certainly upbeat for all, including latest research around the telomeres, the tentacles at the end of your DNA. As they wear and tear, you age and basically you die. As techniques that can stabilize and even telomeres. So that's what you want to do for longevity. Inga, have you got another slide there?
So just the last one that basically you can talk a little bit about the program that you have put together and you've been running in the past 20 or so years. Roger?
Well, and Inga, can you hear me?
Yes.
Inga, because you're totally away. Unfortunately, tonight, for the internet connection for where Inga is at, is unfortunately not working very well. But we do have our practitioner training starting this weekend in-house in New York, here mid. So, for instance, the 10 weekends held over roughly 9 months. So there's 1 weekend a month. So 4 of them practical cooking classes, demo style with Inga and Nam Singh, where you learn, these wonderful dishes. It's a combination of theory and philosophy, our curriculum. So you can consider just coming to some of the practical classes and then doing some of the theory and philosophy online. You can consider doing everything online if you wish. And of course, you can do everything in-house here in New York. And if you are doing in-house and you do miss a weekend, of course, you can catch up with it online as well. Now, we do have a $300 discount if you're signing up over the next 24 hours. If you are considering doing the program and listening to this webinar, you can always email at Academy Healing Nutrition to find out more details. So we're accepting that up to tomorrow night. We do have our last orientation in-house this Thursday night. There's details for that up on our website. And of course, we can create a payment plan for you. Essentially what happens, we just work out all of the discounts that you're entitled to, and then we can divide that up over 10 months. So you're just paying a monthly fee to do the program. There's a lot of details up on the website about that. And of course, this evening I haven't had a chance to talk much about our faculty, but our faculty has got an average of 30 to 40 years experience, and a lot of them have been pioneers in natural healing movement. Bill Tara has been the founder of the East West Center in London. Nam Singh is a pioneer of Chinese medicine and from California and cooking with Chinese herbs, a very unique skill. Robert Sachs is a pioneer of Ayurvedic medicine and philosophy in the United States. Inga Bylinkina is very skilled in the tonic herbs and the Chinese medicine and how to create, really, really interesting cooking style dishes in your life. And myself, I do a lot of the philosophy and theory classes. So out of those 10 weekends, I teach 2 of them myself, and then the third one I teach with Inga. So unfortunately, Inga, we can't hear you very well. There's still a little internet disturbance there. Let's try to hear Inga again. Can you hear us, Inga?
Yes, I do. I'm kind of coming on and off online. Yes, and
Yeah,
I
we can
try
hear
to
you.
follow
We
through.
can hear you nice and clear now.
Oh, good. Well, anyway, this is not the last webinar, and this time it didn't go all that smoothly, but we will be putting on more events soon. And if you have any questions, let's try to connect again. And Roger mentioned my email, inga@academyhealingnutrition.com, if you have any questions. And you can also give us a call. The number is 646-812-0091. Once again, 646-812-0091. So we thank you for coming on this webinar with us today, and everyone will get a recording. So, and we will be doing more events in the future. So hope to connect with you in the future. And thank you, Roger, for the presentation.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
My pleasure.